All right, this past weekend, October 7th, in the Pechanga Arena in San Diego, California, Bellator 300 went down. That's right, Bellator's 300th event, headlined by Usman Nurmagomedov defending his Bellator lightweight title against Brent Primus, getting it done by unanimous decision. Mark, give us your thoughts on Nurmagomedov getting another win and staying perfect now 18-0 as a professional mixed martial artist. Your thoughts?
Yeah, Usman Nurmagomedov is a special, special fighter. There is nothing he can't do. He does it all with such a calmness about him. I don't know who I've even seen that appears to be able to slow down the fight in his mind the way that Usman Nurmagomedov can. Like, there is nothing that phases him, that gets him off his rhythm, that speeds him up. He's just been a perfect fighter thus far. Like, it's as if he's detached and controlling himself with a video game controller. He's that perfect in his execution, and he was all that for 25 minutes against Brent Primus. Was it a bit boring at times? Yeah, I get why the crowd was restless. But I did tell you last week that Brent Primus was a hard guy to put out and a hard guy to even necessarily style on. And that proved to be true. Like, was it a clear 50-45 for Usman? Yes, it was. Did he get to look spectacular doing it? Not really. Primus he just doesn't make it so easy to do that. But yeah, it was a great performance. You know who he reminds me of, honestly? And this, I guess, is a bit extreme. But John Jones, in that he is so good in every aspect of the game and so good at blending them that he will just be comfortable to dictate the fight for as long as he needs to until the opening presents itself. And if it does, then a fantastic finish comes. If it doesn't, you get these fights that kind of seem a bit boring just because he's so in control. And I feel like it was kind of similar during John's run. But that's what we got here, the second one. But either way, it was a clear dominant W for Usman, and he continues to show how good he is.
Omar, what were your thoughts on Russian John Jones getting the win?
It's a good win, man. Brent Primus tried it. He tried everything he could in there. You could see how hard he fought throughout that entire 5 rounds. I feel like the restlessness, at least for me in that fight, was me feeling like Usman could have done more. And I think he was content to sort of just do enough to get through the rounds. And it's not to say that he could have styled on Brent Primus, but there were a lot of moments where I think he could have done a little bit more to try and find a finish, or try to at least create an opening or an opportunity for a finish. And we never really got there. And I think that approach to the fight, I think, made it difficult to fully enjoy it in that sense. So I definitely also understand the boos and the frustration in that fight. But with that being said, Usman's performance is really good, man. I mean, you can't really say anything about his skill and his technique. You wish you saw more. You wish he can do more. But what he did perform in there, and the way that he was able to kind of neutralize Brent Primus, who was like trying to go nonstop in that fight, was impressive. He's really good, man. He's definitely a problem. I wonder if we ever get to see him in the UFC, but either way, man, he's a big, big problem.
I hope so, man. I mean, like, trying to think about how good he is, right? Like, in terms of who he's beaten to this point, I guess he probably wouldn't be ranked in the UFC as of yet. But, like, just as an example, if I told you that he was going to fight Bobby Green, who would you be picking?
Oh, him.
Right? Like, pretty comfortably. So, like, that means this dude is already, like, top 10 level lightweight, as young as he is. Which, even a few fights ago, I didn't feel like we were there yet, and now I'm kind of like, damn, yeah, he's this good. So I mean, certainly hope we see him end up in the UFC.
I think similar to Chandler, I think he comes in and he immediately fights for a number one contender kind of fight.
Very possible.
A title eliminator. And if he gets that win, he's going straight to the title because he's so good.
Yeah, I mean, the one that we wanted to see that would have told us a lot is him in the finals against AJ McKee.
Yeah.
But of course,
Yeah.
AJ McKee fell out, and now it won't be AJ McKee in those finals. But that one really would have told us a lot.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I
All right. What could be next for these two guys? Mark?
Well, so to carry on from what I was just saying, obviously we know for Usman, he will be in the finals of the Grand Prix. He'll be waiting for the winner of the remaining semifinal, which is Alexander Shabliy and Patricky Pitbull. He already beat Pitbull. Obviously, that's who he beat to take the title. So as a fan, I'm kind of hoping it's Shabliy. At least that's a fresh matchup. And Shabliy has looked really good. He finished Brent Primus, which is the only guy who has done that. So maybe that's what we get. Could be a rematch with Pitbull. Who knows? But either way, Usman will look to add Bellator Grand Prix champion and $1 million to his resume in the next one. And or should I go right to Primus? Or should I? Yeah, I guess, right? In that same fight, if Patricky Pitbull loses that semifinal, I think he's a perfect opponent for Primus because that's a fight we're yet to see in Bellator between those two. If Shabliy is the loser, doesn't work considering, as I just said, he finished Primus pretty recently, and the rest of this division is kind of booked up. They even, I don't know if you guys saw, they booked AJ McKee against Sidney Outlaw, which could be some fun grappling in that one. And most of the other guys are booked as well, so I think it becomes more of a wait and see for Primus if that's how that semi plays out.
Nice. All right. Omar, do you have anything to say about what could be next for Nurmagomedov?
No. Bellator is fucking weird with all that stuff. You either know exactly what's next for them or you have no idea what's going on with their rankings. So I leave that to Mark.
Dude, my buddy Todd Atkins reshared a video from, what's that guy's name? Is it Jimmy Smith?
Oh, yeah. Good boy, Jimmy
Talking
Smith. I love
about
Jimmy
that Jimmy Smith thinks that Bellator 300 could be the last Bellator. Like he was there, he went to 300 and he was like everybody, all the old guys were there. Like it was a weird kind of an atmosphere, like a reunion. Like this is like the last hurrah.
Even though they've announced 301 already?
Yeah, he said that. He was like,
because 301 is the semifinal that I just mentioned.
think-
It's the Pettis and Mix fight.
I think he said
the
something
Amosov
like
fight.
they were gonna go through the end of the year, so get to like 302. But then he said they might just call it after 300 because it was such a milestone event.
Wow.
That would be crazy. So like,
I would
did
like. I'd like to see them at least get to 301 to unify the Sergio Pettis and Patchy Mix titles. I feel like that has to happen.
if they're disbanding, what does it matter?
I
mean,
wanna
it's
see
still-
it. That's why it fucking matters.
and it's still a recognized belt. You know what I mean? And I think to me, just the way that Anthony Pettis was the last WEC lightweight champion, I think it would mean something for Sergio, for example, to walk away as the Bellator. The hell is he now? Flyweight champion?
Bantamweight.
Bantamweight champion?
Dude, I'm looking at that card right now. This is the 5-fight main card. Sergio and Patchy Mix to unify the Bantamweight titles. Yaroslav Amosov defending against Jason Jackson, who has looked really good. Patricky Pitbull and Alexander Shabliy in the semi to see who fights Usman. AJ McKee and Sidney Outlaw. Raufeon Stotts and Danny Sabatello rematch. That's a great card.
Yeah.
Like, I hope that Jimmy Smith is wrong and that we get that card.
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's 36 days from now, so I guess a lot could happen.
I guess so. And I guess Bellator did not get what they wanted from selling to or selling or merging with PFL.
It still seems like that's what most people think is going to happen. And Bader, what did he say? When Linton Vassell fell out on this card where he was supposed to fight Bader, obviously, for the title, Corey Anderson tried to throw his name in the hat. He had knocked out Bader at light heavyweight, and he was saying, I'll give you a rematch, but I get my shot at the heavyweight belt now. And Bader said he was down, but then a fan asked him on Twitter, like, why is it not happening? And he said that it was because, what is it called, Viacom? Is that the company? Why am I blanking?
Yeah. The parent company.
That they were out as of October. So they didn't want to fork out any extra money to get someone in for the fight, so they were just happy to lose the fight. So I don't know what that means necessarily out as of October. I guess that does support your idea from Jimmy Smith about November may not even happen, but that's what Bader said.
Could that mean that Viacom is out, meaning they're cutting Bellator? They're like,
I mean, that's what it seemed. So
wouldn't they want to sell Bellator?
No, I mean,
Bellator?
I don't know what the ownership situation is, but I think he just meant like they're no longer spending any new money other than what has been pre-spent here. Kind of, I don't know.
It's very possible because if they contractually, if they own the rights to Bellator, they could just not do shit and not spend money on Bellator. You know what I mean? And just, I would imagine, just hold on to the rights. People probably lose jobs left and right and all that kind of stuff. It's not great, but I think they have the ability to do that if they wanted to.
Whatever happens here, man, I hope there's no situation where dudes get held in like purgatory. Like,
Same.
Get these guys to where they want to be. Give me fucking Patricio Pitbull against Max. Like, give me AJ McKee and Brian Ortega. Like, Usman against whatever lightweight we want to do. Yaroslav Amosov in at welterweight. Like, they're Eblin in at middleweight. Like, these dudes, you know, there's big fights waiting for these guys. So I hope they don't get held up in any bullshit. Granted, they may not all come to the UFC. They could go to ONE or PFL or God knows where, but
yeah,
either way.
Okay, let's continue with these recaps real quick for Bellator. Co-main event, Cris Cyborg, another knockout win of her career, another title defense, defeating Kat Zingano by round 1 knockout, defending her Bellator Women's Featherweight Championship. Omar, your thoughts?
I feel bad for Kat Zingano. She's been talking about wanting to fight Cris Cyborg for years, and she can beat her and all this other stuff. And she got manhandled. She got manhandled like most people do when they fight Cris Cyborg. And when we were talking about it last week, in my head, I was like, man, Cris Cyborg is, going to be measured, is going to, take it slow and kind of take her time chewing her food and all this other kind of stuff. And she did not. Kat Zingano gave her an opening. She took it and completely murdered Kat Zingano. So good performance from Cris Cyborg, man. Just another dominant performance, and another girl who thinks that they can just do what they want with Cris Cyborg until they get in there and feel her hands. So good deal,
man. Yeah, Mark.
Yeah, I was entertained while it lasted. Anytime you get someone who's unafraid to be in there with Cyborg, it's kind of fun to see. And Kat was not. She was in there to scrap. She was pushing it. She was trying again and again to find her entries and create an opportunity for a takedown, but it just wasn't there, man. Cyborg is too good. She stuffed every shot. I mean, hell, she timed half of them with uppercuts, including the finishing sequence. And she pounded Kat Zingano out. Add another victim to the list. She's unreal. I don't know when she'll ever start to drop off. I wish we could have got one more between her and Amanda before Amanda walked away. It just, to never have gotten a second one there, especially with the new Cyborg that we've seen since that fight, where she used to be this, kind of lunatic berserker. And then ever since getting knocked out there, she fights a much more composed style where she only goes for the kill when it's there. It would have been great to see that again, but unfortunately it doesn't seem like we'll be getting that one. But she shows how dominant she is once again.
Yeah, bro. All right, last one for Bellator. I'm hurting tonight, guys. I'm hurting.
Real quick, if Bellator does continue, it sounds like she is she is, they said, going to get Liam McCourt. They brought Liam McCourt into the cage after the fight. McCourt actually finished Sarah McMahon in ONE earlier in the night. So that's a pretty big win. And it sounds like she's going to get her shot at Cyborg now.
Nice.
If we have events.
Yeah, if we have events. Okay, last one. Third title fight of Bellator 300. Liz Carmouche, round 5 TKO over Ilima-Lei Macfarlane. Mark, take it.
This one was pretty closely matched, at least early. It all took place on the feet. I'm not sure how much either girl was pushing, to be honest. We know they're friends. The ref did warn them for action a few times, but I thought Ilima-Lei edged the first, Liz edged the second, and it kind of felt like a pretty even-feeling fight going into the third. Granted, it was a bit of a spar. And then round 3 is really when it changed because Liz Carmouche decided to target the known bad left knee of Macfarlane, and it immediately bore fruit. You know, say what you will about it. It's a fight. She is trying to defend her belt, and she knew it was there. And you could tell that Ilima-Lei was compromised severely almost immediately. But she pushed through it as much as she possibly could. You know, she brought the pressure in round 4, actually, to keep herself in that fight. But then the first leg kick of round 5 was all she wrote. You know, she went down in a heap. And Liz is still your champion. So, I don't know. It was a weird one. You know, going into it, Liz is saying how she'd so much rather get a sub and just put Ilima-Lei to sleep and not have to bang with her and hurt her and their friends. And then she didn't just end up banging with her. She took it up a notch and decided to tear her knee to pieces when she knew it was injured. So, I'm not sure what went through her mind there. You know, strange development after the pre-fight talk. But good win, and she marches on as champ.
Okay. Omar?
I thought it was a good fight, man. I feel bad about the way that fight ended, and we've seen a lot of these knee injuries as of late. You know, it reminded me of the Venom Page TKO that he recently had against. I don't remember the dude's name, but I think he's from. Was he from? He wasn't from Bellator, right? He was Ryzen.
Goichi Yamauchi. No, he's Bellator, dude.
Is he Bellator? But yeah, we saw him kick Homeboy's kneecap, and his whole leg just like seized up and just stopped working, and it kind of gave me that same reaction in this fight as well. Macfarlane just dropped to the floor and kind of writhed out in pain a little bit, pretty audibly at that. And when something hurts you that bad, it probably hurts even worse than the way that it sounds out loud. So, felt bad for her in the end. I thought it was a good fight. I thought that Liz kind of had the momentum going through that fight, though. I think her strikes were a little bit crisper. She had a lot more power behind her fight, or behind her punches. And I thought, you know, as good as Macfarlane was defensively, I still thought Liz did a better job trying to find her and finding her throughout that fight. So I thought it was a good performance from Liz Carmouche and a wild little ending there.
Yeah, man. All right, that does it for Bellator, guys.
Nice.
Mark, did you have something else to say?
I was just getting ready to say who would be next, but
oh yeah,
you seemed like you're moving on. She asked for Kana Watanabe after the fight, who she's already beaten. I'm not sure Watanabe has quite earned another shot here, but that division's a weird one in that I don't know who else there really is at this point. Liz has kind of been cleaning it out, so that might be what we get. Again, now you're making me wonder how many more Bellator events we get, so who knows if it even happens. I guess there's a Japan idea being thrown around because Liz asked to fight Watanabe in Japan, and Cyborg asked to fight McCourt in Japan, I believe is what Cyborg said. So there must be, maybe there's another New Year's card with Ryzen. So I'm not sure, but they were throwing that out for sure. And then Ilima-Lei, going into this fight, was kind of alluding to the fact that it might be her last, and now with this knee injury, I kind of think that may end up being the case.